All right, welcome back everybody. Well, this one's going to be super fun. Anytime we get to spend some time with Billy Gibbons, this is going to be some great guitar work here. So this is Cheap Sunglasses by ZZ Top. And this is off their Duguello album, I believe, 79, 78 kind of thing, or 80 maybe. Just a great piece of work, and what a great mean guitar on this song, right? So I'm going to walk us through the rhythm guitar parts that are happening in here, and also I will go through all the parts on the guitar lead on here, so you can nail this, and we'll take it all the way to the outro and what he's doing there. So, all right, and if this is the kind of thing that you like and you haven't done so already, I invite you to click subscribe and ring the bell. The bell will let you know when I drop new content, and I do that every single week. All of my lessons have chapters in them, so you can click right to the part of the lesson that you want to see and bypass what you don't. And if you're looking for other ways to support the channel, I appreciate that. There's thanks, which is like throwing a tip in the tip jar, or you can join my Patreon page where I have chord charts and tabs for all the lessons that I do on YouTube, just like this. And all the links are in the description below, so check it out. So Cheap Sunglasses, this is just super fun. And a great instructive lesson on what I think makes Billy Gibbons just so great. He plays exactly what needs to be played, and nothing less and nothing more importantly. He just plays what that song needs, and man, this song has some tasty blues rock in it, okay? All right, well, in terms of gear, supposedly on this song, supposedly Billy used a sort of a Japanese copy, sort of a lawsuit Stratocaster that somebody gave him, where it wasn't a Fender Stratocaster, it was one of the, Japanese made ones, but they made it almost exactly, and it had the only thing weird about it was it had a Telecaster neck on it, a headstock on it, supposedly, but it just looked like a white Strat with the Tele neck on it, but supposedly he used that guitar, and he used it in a 200 watt Marshall Major that had a failing tube in it, so that was part of the magic sort of mojo that gets that big full sound, and the failing tube adding that extra little bit on the overdriven parts. That's how he tells it. There's a link to that interview in the description below, but super cool. I'm using my none of those things. I've just recently got this awesome beat up, but awesome 68 Gibson SG Special that I'm just loving on. So I'm just going to be playing the crap out of that thing. And the P90s in here, I think, do this song justice. I'm running it through, this Boden Sound Systems. This is a PA amp conversion that was done, and I bought it last year at a guitar show here in Franklin by a guy named Vaughn Scow, who's got a shop, and I'll put his information in the description below. He's done these amp conversions and makes pickups, and great guy, but give him a call and check out what he's got. But I love this thing, and I think it nails the sound pretty damn good. So I just crank it up and got it running through my 412s and my Marshall cabinet, and that's really it. I'm just running this, and I've got an EP booster that's doing you know, the one step up at part of my guitar solo, but that's really all I got going on for gear for this. All right, so this opening riff. So this opening riff works because the first string was actually tuned down to a D. And supposedly the story goes that that was done as an accident in the studio, and he picked up the guitar and someone left it on a D, and I don't know if you can ever trust those stories or whatever, but you know, we would always try, or I would always try and play it, and I was trying to get it up there, and I had to jump down here, and that's just no. And you watch him live, he's all down here. It's just because you tune that string down and everything sort of falls into place. All the other strings are just the same. So the way you catch this riff, and I, by the way, tend to use fingers on this particular song with the exception of the solo. It just falls easier for me, but you can use a pick on this. You slide up from 2 to 3, the first 3 strings, and then you're going to catch that open D just for a second, and then F to G with that D open. So what we're actually going to be doing on most of this is picking 2 strings at a time. You're either going to be picking the 6th and 4th string together, or you're going to be picking the A string, the 5th string, and the 3rd string together. And sometimes you'll just hit the 4th one in there too, right? Right. So, but the whole thing together. That's that main riff, and it just all falls into place for me by doing it with my fingers like that. But you can do it with a pick, and he plays it with a pick, at least live. You sort of hybrid that, right? You use the pick to pick the bass note and your finger to do the 2nd string. I stumble on that, so I roll my pick back here, and that works for me. So that's how I'm going to do that. So it runs through. That's the sort of main verse. Cheap sunglasses, right? And it hits that part, and then that next little riff is, again, we're going to be doing our 2 strings, 6 and 4, 5 and 3. That C, and on that note, I always thought it was a Rhodes piano sounding, but apparently it's a Maestro effect unit that he used. I don't know. So I guess that's all guitar. It's like a C octave, but he's got that effect on it that makes it sound crazy. But yeah, so let's run through that. However you want to do that C, right? So cool. Just everything's just right there. Okay. Then the next little sort of, it runs through again. Then the interlude before it goes into the guitar solo is a super fun chord sequence where I think the bass is just playing a pattern just on G or based on G, but Billy comes up here and he plays what amounts to be basically an F triad, but you're straight across again because you've tuned your string down, right? And then you come down to an E position. So 10th fret to 9th fret, straight across on those 3 strings. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the rhythm guitar part here that happens during the solo. The chords are going to be a C minor 7. Turn this down. And then it's going to go down to a B flat. I'll talk about the strumming in just a minute. And then you're going to come up and you're going to do a D minor 7. And by the way, I'm sort of not playing, I'm trying not to play the first string because it's detuned. If you catch it, it's okay, but I'm trying not to play it. And then straight across to a D major. All right, so C minor 7, B flat, C minor 7, D minor 7, D major. Right? So the picking pattern with those chords, you want to sort of clean it up a little bit. I've rolled my volume back. It's sort of a very loose, funky feel, and you're going to hammer on, like when you're on this chord shape, the C minor 7. So you're hammering on the D string and the B string. And then there's actually more dead strings than actually played notes. Something like that. And then your B flat. Again, you're just focusing on the second, third, and fourth strings on your sort of pull off and hammer back on. Right? But that's the pattern of what's going on. And what's great is that leaves space. All of those, that's when the actual soloing is happening. There's an interplay, so they're not stepping on each other. It's brilliant. Great little arrangement on there. So it runs through that one time. Then it goes back to your, right? So that's that F triad, which basically makes an F triad shape, down to an E triad shape while the bass is just grooving on a G. Right? Runs through that whole pattern 2 times. All right, so let's talk about the actual solo that's going to be played now. So I mentioned earlier, like what's great about this is that the notes that he's playing on the actual melodic solo part are total interplay with the strumming that's happening underneath the rhythm guitar. They're very, very rarely, if at all, stepping on each other. So there's 2 sections to the solo. The first section is a little more subdued, a lot of more palm muting, minimalist. And then the second part of the solo, he really cuts, he lets loose a lot more sort of gain, but still sort of restrained, but it's a little more wild on that. You know it because you know the song, right? He steps on the rhythm guitar a little bit on the second part, but still they're very much sort of, playing in their own space, which is what I love about the arrangements that he does. Okay, so let's get to it. So this is mostly going to be in the C minor pentatonic position up here. Those chords again were C minor 7 down to B flat. There's a little bit there, and then so that's where sort of the main sort of playing is going to happen. So let's just take it phrase by phrase, and then I'll demonstrate it with both parts sort of playing together. All right. So the first part's when it comes in with the C minor 7. Right. So it's call and response, and each time is just a little bit different, right? The first time is right? Those are all the notes that are happening, but they're not all happening in the same strength or frequency, right? It's, and then you're off. It's like take your hand off. And then the response, right? Walking down. And then I love that he doesn't really hit the root note every time, right? So that again. And then again, which is just a little bit different. And then the response this time, he waits a little longer. Right, just slightly different. Just very cool. Down to your B flat. You're just outlining that B flat chord. Does a little bend. And just palm muted. Back to your C. All right, then down here, when it's moving from D minor 7 to D, he's just doing an A, C, D note. You could play, I do an open A, but you could do 5th fret A. And then just make it a little bit different. And then the second time, make it a little bit different. There you go. And that's that first half, right? So that's the first part. Let's see actually how that interplay goes with the solo and the rhythm guitar going together. Let's check that out. Okay, and then we're going to move to our second part of the solo. Again, this is after it does one more round of... Does that 4 times. All right, second part of the solo, we're going to goose our signal a little bit. I've got my EP booster kicked on just to boost that a little bit more and get some of those false harmonics to come out. We're going to play it a little more aggressively, but not totally wild, right? He's just opening it up just a little bit, and he's going to let those notes ring out just a little longer, but we're still on living in our C minor pentatonic positions and B flat, right? We're still going to sort of dance between those two. The riffs are going to be a little bit different, right? So the first one eases into it like this. So that's all the C stuff. Just grinding every little bit you can get out of that note, right? Now we're down to our B flat, right? So we're gonna actually pause a little bit when it goes down to the B flat. And we're going to go back to that C early. Just a little bit different timing when you come in on that. Back to our C. And then you cap it off at the very end. You've got this, right? You're just double stop on your second and third string on the 5th fret, and you're just sort of playing with those slight little quarter bends and pulling off on the 3rd fret. right, so let's see how that plays with dancing against the rhythm guitar part. Check it out. Okay, and then what's left now is the cool outro part, which is a totally different groove than the rest of the song. You know, the groove is sort of in between an F and a G. Everything is right here in first position. Well, I'll just do it. Here you go. Right? So I'm doing the drum there. Drum, drum, drum. Yeah, so it's F, G. Just that one little E note. So the 4 notes are in that are in that whole thing is E, F, G, and B flat. But you only hit that E one little time, right? You're not going any higher than the B flat. And over that, Billy's just doing that, just like little stuff off of a G chord, and wild stuff too. And he's got the slapback echo on it. But the important part for me is that groove that I like. There you go. All right, well, that was Cheap Sunglasses by ZZ Top. I hope you learned something new today. And if this is the kind of thing you like and you haven't done so yet, I invite you to jump down and click subscribe and ring the bell. The bell lets you know every time I drop new content, which I do every single week. Let me know in the comments what you thought about this. And if there's another lesson you want me to take on, let me know what that song is as well. Okay? So until next week, take care, everybody.